Wow, it is a scorcher right here in Corte Madera, California today. It's like a little over 90 degrees where I'm walking right now. It's almost just as bad as being back in Miami without the humidity, so it's just a little bit better. But man, I'm surprised. You know, all these times I've come here to California in the summer, I've never seen so many hot days, but it's still better than being in Miami. Like, I literally just saw something on the news there talking about how people are having seasonal affective disorder in Miami now because of the oppressive heat. You know, every day is in the triple digits. Those are the feels like temperatures, and people can't take it anymore. That's why I'm here. There's been a few hot days, but it's been nothing compared to being in Florida, and I'll take this over the heat that I have to endure time after time in Miami. But anyways, guys, when it comes to enduring, I don't know how much longer people of this country and current homeowners can endure this current situation with housing. In terms of everybody who owns a house right now is almost like being punished in the sense that you own the house, but your insurance keeps going up, your taxes keep going up, sometimes to the point where people can't afford it anymore and they must sell the property because they just don't have the income to pay those bills. Other homeowners are getting punished because they live near a short-term rental area and, you know, their community's being destroyed by short-term rentals, or you're someone who wants to operate a short-term rental and you're being shut down because the community doesn't want it anymore. So all these type of homeowners are getting punished, but you know who's not getting punished? Anybody who wants to buy a house without any credentials, who is illegal in this country. Those people are getting free money to buy houses right now. But first, I want to go over a couple examples of what I mean here. I've shown you guys countless examples when I was in Florida of how much people's property tax bills have gone up, and now it has spread to other parts of the country, and the increases are nowhere near as dramatic as the Florida examples, but it's still enough to push some people out of their homes. I just saw today how in Portland, Maine, they have seen, you know, home valuations go up easily over $100,000 in the past couple of years. And they talked to one guy who got his new property tax bill, and it's more than $1,000 per year than it was last year. And the average increases in Portland, Maine are about $1,200 to $1,300 per year, and the assessed value of these properties have been going up anywhere between 20 and 60%. And apparently Maine has a state law where they must assess their properties based on the current market value. Okay, I guess they don't have homestead protections in Maine. You can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know. But that's what's happening to people. And these are people that live in their houses. We're not talking investors that are trying to operate short-term rentals or anything like that. So apparently they don't reassess properties every year in Maine, because if they did, they probably would have already seen these jumps in their property tax bill. Now that they are seeing these jumps, there are some people that are being forced to sell their properties and have to move because they can't afford it. And it's like, where are they going to go? This is the last straw for some people. You know, affordability was already at the brink. Now my property tax and insurance is up. I have to sell the property. You have plenty of homeowners that are sick and tired of the short-term rentals in their neighborhoods, so much so where they're putting together local coalitions in order to end short-term rentals once and for all. I saw this is happening here in Pacifica, California. And when you live near a short-term rental, guys, it can be pretty chaotic. You know, this woman on the news said that she has to deal with people constantly intruding into her property, on her yard, you know, using her water, you know, when they're not supposed to, different things like that, throwing things in her trash, just constantly dealing with that. People outside smoking and the cigarette smoke coming inside of her house, just a bunch of things. And so people like her reasonably say, we don't want this to happen anymore, which I don't blame them. But at the same time, you have other homeowners that claim they need to be able to rent out their house short term because otherwise they don't know what they would do. They won't be able to pay the bills, essentially. They talked to another guy who owns a short-term rental in Pacifica, and he said that he had to move out of his house due to a family emergency, and because he's able to rent the house as a short-term rental, it covers the operating costs of his house. He's not like turning huge profits. He's, you know, essentially just paying the bills for the house. And if he didn't have this as an option, he doesn't know what he would do. Well, I'll tell you what he would have to do. He'd have to sell the house, because houses were never meant to be short-term rentals, guys. You know, so many people have banked on this situation where they need the short-term rental income to survive. Like, they cannot operate the property, they cannot afford to keep the property without short-term rental income, and people are supposed to feel sorry for that, because I don't. I hate to break it to you, but if you own a rental property and the numbers don't work as a landlord renting it out long term, you shouldn't be landlording that house. You know, you can't be banking on short-term rental income alone, because when things do change, when enough people get frustrated like this, and they do inevitably change the law where you're no longer allowed to do this, then you're done. Otherwise, you're operating the short-term rental illegally, and you are facing probably big fines in many cases. But I find this so crazy that current homeowners, US citizens, have to deal with all of these problems that I just mentioned. But then you have illegal aliens that come into this country that are being handed opportunities to grab a piece of the American dream for free. Most notably, right here in California. Because recently the California Senate Appropriations Committee has moved full speed ahead to allow illegal immigrants the opportunity to make use of the state's zero money down payment loan program for buying a home. So you're not even supposed to be here, let's get that right. Okay, you came in this country illegally, and you're gonna get the opportunity to buy a house that an American citizen who was maybe born and raised here in California does not have the opportunity for and cannot afford that home. How is that fair, guys? Here's what the politician that's pushing this forward says: the social and economic benefits of homeownership should be available to everyone. As such, the California Dream for All program should be available to all. So this bill has apparently already passed the state assembly and will now move to the floor of the Senate for a vote. And since California is run by one party, there's a high probability this will get passed here. And basically how this works is people are able to get up to 20% of their home's price with a 0% down payment on the loan and no payments on the loan. So they're basically giving you 20% down to buy the house completely for free. And then the loan is paid back at a future date when the home is refinanced, sold, or transferred, with the borrower paying back the loan amount in addition to 20% of any increased value on the real estate. But they haven't worked out all the kinks on this yet, because they say, what happens if somebody keeps the house for decades and they don't sell or refinance or anything like that? There's no provisions in the rules of this loan of what happens in that scenario. So that's already a huge loophole that people can use to never have to pay this money back. Here we have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house for $1.5 million, just listed a few days ago. Lots of Miami vibes here with the heat and the home prices. But take a look at this. The property tax bill here is only $2,100 a year for a house that's supposedly worth $1.5 million. You can thank Prop 13 for that here in California. And that definitely decreases the amount of homes ever available here, because who wants to give that up? You know, as soon as this person sells and moves somewhere else, they're going to be paying a significantly higher mortgage, a significantly higher property tax bill, everything. So it keeps the housing market here suppressed, which is also contributing to the extreme high prices in California. But don't worry, the new owner is going to pay such a high property tax rate and such a high income tax rate that it will be more than enough to subsidize a loan for an illegal immigrant coming in that desperately needs that free house. So already you've had 18,000 people apply for this loan, and it has costed $255 million for this program, and you've so far had 1,700 people get $150,000 each going towards their down payments as well as closing costs. And in fact, this loan is not available to everyone, because some things you need to qualify is the home buyer must be a first-time home buyer, and at least one of the borrowers must be a first-generation home buyer, and their income level must be below specific income limits depending on the county, which ranges between $100,000 and $300,000. Because in California, you can be low income and $300,000 a year, apparently here. But here's the funny thing: even though this is aimed at being expanded towards illegal immigrants, they need to have a taxpayer identification number or social security number to apply for a loan, which means they're taxpayers, and that's kind of like the argument and the reasoning saying that they're eligible for these loans because they pay taxes, so therefore they should be able to get a piece of this tax money back if they were to win this lottery. Because this program receives state funding by taxpayers, but it also receives revenue through mortgage loans, which is not from taxpayers. Well, it is, because every time somebody applies to get a loan in California and they pay closing costs on that loan, then a portion of that money is going towards programs like this, as well as tax money. So people that live here are subsidizing people getting this money for free to get into a home. And somehow these politicians magically think that this is going to bring the cost of housing down or make it more affordable for these people, when in reality, anytime you give free money out for anything, it drives the price up. So that's a guarantee that you're going to see real estate get more expensive in California if they move forward with this. Because the reality is, guys, it's just too much money chasing the same amount of houses, okay? And where I'm walking through right now, you guys haven't been seeing that many houses for sale in my videos because I haven't walked past any. There haven't been that many. You know, there are some places for sale here, but it's nothing like Miami where I can walk down any street and see 4, 5, 10 houses for sale at any given moment. It's not like that here. But somehow these guys think that, oh, let's just throw more money at the problem and this is somehow going to solve it. It's not. And this is so unfair to people that grew up here, people that have been paying taxes their whole life. You know, I don't understand how people that live here are for this kind of thing, you know? I don't understand why people allow the politicians that they elect to do these things. Who here in California is in favor of all of their tax money going towards paying for someone else's house? Who? And I wish I could say it was just California, guys, but it's not. In fact, Oregon State, they have a program too now where they're giving $30,000 home buyer grants, and one of the criteria to qualify for this is you have to be an illegal immigrant. I'm not even kidding you. You know, you cannot be a citizen and get this. At least in California, you can be a citizen and qualify for this loan program, and they're trying to expand it to illegals. That's what this whole bill does, is expands it to people that are undocumented, that aren't supposed to be here. But in Oregon, they're just like skipping straight past that to a much crazier thing. So this is from Hacienda Community Development Corporation in Portland, Oregon. They have a promotion that it will give first-time home buyers up to $30,000 to get on the property ladder, and it's only available to refugees, asylum seekers, green card holders, and those who arrived in the U.S. illegally as children. Take a look at their flyer. This is not a joke. This is for real. You know, we already have huge problems with the amount of people pouring into this country that no one seems to be doing anything about. And if this is an incentive for more of them to come, I don't know what is, guys. Like, if I was living in another country and I knew I could come to a state in the United States, as long as I could find a way to get here illegally, and they would give me 30 grand for free to buy a house, I'd be on my way. Meanwhile, you have American citizens in the state of Oregon who are completely priced out of the market, and they're struggling to find or buy a home right now. You know, the average home price in the state is around $500,000, which is expensive anywhere. And I would say this is another example of you get what you vote for, right? Like, it's just like the whole crime thing we talked about yesterday, when you have a bunch of stores closing in an area due to the local law not doing anything about those crimes. Well, this is a similar situation, you know? You get what you vote for, and what these people voted for apparently is letting people who are not supposed to be here take your money to buy the house that you can't afford. So there's that. And I'm not saying that there aren't any programs available for US citizens. There are, guys. I have gone over a bunch of them here on the channel. We are now back to a point in this housing market cycle where, as a citizen, you can get a 0% down home loan in order to buy a house if your income is low enough and you qualify. So things like that do exist for people that are citizens here. But we already don't have enough money to help everybody that lives here now, right? That's supposed to be here, that is an American citizen, and they already want to dole out our money to people that are not supposed to be here. I mean, Just tell me who's in favor of this, guys, because I know I'm not. And you know, the other thing is, people should know, is I don't blame illegal immigrants to come to our country and trying to grab a piece of our American dream. I don't blame them at all. If I was in their situation, I would probably do the same thing. I blame people in charge, and I blame enablers across the country that allow things like this to happen. You know, if I was to sneak into another country, anywhere in the world, I don't care where, you think I would have an easy life? You think they'd be giving me stuff for free over there and giving me free money to go buy a house? Absolutely not. This is the only place that does stuff like this, as far as I know. And we sit there and question why people are pouring across the borders. This company, this Hacienda company, they have so far received almost $700,000 this year of taxpayer money to make this happen, guys. So do you think that's right? Just let me know in the comments if this is something that you would vote for or you're in favor for, and you think it's a good use of taxpayer dollars. Do you think we should have programs aimed specifically at illegal immigrants, you know, basically encouraging them to buy a home here in the United States? Who thinks that's a good idea? Let everybody know, and make sure you put your reasons why. And one thing I haven't brought up in a while here on the channel is commercial real estate and all the problems we've been seeing with that. And you know, there's been so many buildings basically go up on the chopping block recently that are appraising and selling for pennies on the dollar of what they were just a few years ago. A recent example is a 1 million square foot building in Philadelphia, okay? Their appraisal is down 25% just from 2021 till now. In 2021, they say the place was worth $282 million. Today, it's only worth $211 million. And you know what people are saying about this to justify that this isn't a big problem? This just made me laugh, okay? Take a look at this. We're seeing New York, Chicago, and San Francisco's offices with 70% drops from the original appraisal over time to the reappraisal. So this isn't the end of the world. So basically, the logic here is that, well, it's not as bad as what's happening in other places across the country. Yeah, it's losing value, but it's just not as bad as other spots, so it's okay. I mean, I feel like the logic that people have with things like this when times get rough is just hilarious, you know? What a way to turn a negative into a positive, huh? So I think another thing we have to take into consideration when it comes to the future of real estate is how bad is this commercial real estate issue going to crush the economy, because we're already facing a lot of headwinds. We're already seeing unemployment shoot up pretty substantially. We're seeing the amount of jobs available go down substantially. You know, we're seeing the Fed on the verge of rate cuts because they're worried about the labor market. Jerome Powell even said that himself. And then when you throw in this office space debacle, that can just compound the problems that we might see happen. But one thing I keep thinking about when I hear about all these stories about people getting free money to buy houses is, will this be enough to prop up the housing market indefinitely moving forward? Like, are all these incentives and all of these free money programs going to be enough to keep prices high forever? I think some people might say yes, but I think the actual answer is no. Unless they just go parabolic with the amount of money that's being given out for this, I don't think it's going to work long term, because we can already see in some parts of the country in different areas where they have programs like this where they do give away free money, okay? And Florida is one of them. Florida gives out free money. They have the Hometown Heroes program. They give out similar types of loans to people that qualify for them, you know, up to like 40 grand, something like that. They've already given out loans to, I think, 100,000 people or something like that. It's been a lot. And has that been enough to keep home prices high in Florida? Has that been enough to keep the prices from coming down? No, it hasn't. The prices are already starting to come down in many parts of the state already, even with all of these programs available. And that's not even counting, you know, 0% down mortgages or 1% down mortgages, FHA mortgages, VA mortgages, all these different things that people can use and take advantage of to buy homes. And it's still not enough to keep the prices up there. But on the other hand, if you come to an area like I'm walking through right now, where I've only seen one house for sale in this entire neighborhood, then these programs will have an adverse effect if you ask me. It's already bad enough where people can't afford these houses as it is, and these programs are likely to just exacerbate that in the future. But personally, guys, I think that government should just stay out of the housing business altogether. Everything they do seems to make it more expensive with their subsidized loans, with their buying of mortgage-backed securities, with their giving free money to people that can't afford to buy, you know, with rent control programs that have been proven not to work, all these different things. And that could be one argument for Florida. You could even say, well, even with all of the free help the government tries to give in Florida, that's not enough to outpace what the free market is doing. You know, the free market is building lots of houses. There's lots of people putting their house on the market for sale, trying to turn that profit before it's too late. And that's basically outperforming the free money. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about all this stuff. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you don't want to wait for my next video to come out, check out this one on the screen right over here. And I will see you in the next one.